All right, so in today's video, we're going to be talking about the housing market here on the Central Coast and give you the November 2022 housing update. We just got the numbers from October, so this is going to be an important one for you as a home buyer, seller, or investor here on the Central Coast. I'm Joshua Ferris. I'm a Central Coast realtor. I've been serving the area for about 8 years now. Central Coast, so San Luis Obispo County and the northern Santa Barbara County. So we're going to be talking about sentiment, what we are seeing as listing agents and helping buyers and investors out there, giving you some perspective. Also, we're going to be talking about the recent mortgage rates, what that's going to be doing and how it's going to be affecting pending sales and price points here on the Central Coast for the rest of 2022 and into 2023. We'll also be talking about some other statistics that you need to know. So stay tuned, like and subscribe if you haven't already. Let's go. So I'd like to go ahead and start with the California Association of Realtors Vice President Jordan Levin. And he shares a quote that I think really encapsulates what we're going through right now. So let's go ahead and pull that up. High inflationary pressures will keep mortgage rates elevated, which will reduce home buyers' purchasing power and depress housing affordability in the upcoming year, with borrowing costs remaining high in the next 12 months. A pullback in sales and a downward adjustment in home prices are expected in 2023. Now, I think this encapsulates, like I said, what we are experiencing. A lot of home buyers have higher interest rates than they had just a few months ago, which is depressing home affordability. So home affordability is low, and I expect us to see fairly low inventory as well. So I don't think there's going to be a whole lot of sellers that are going to be bringing their home to the market as we saw it in the last couple of years. And the statistics show that we are down pending sales. So I anticipate into 2023, we're going to see some decrease in the home prices, but I don't think we're going to see it as much as we're going to see in other metro areas. Why? Because the housing inventory here for the San Luis Obispo County and northern Santa Barbara counties is relatively low. Low inventory, high demand. It's going to continue to hold those price points fairly strong when you compare it to other markets. But I do think that we are going to see a pullback in some of the pricing due to the interest rate increases. Interest rate increase lowers that buyer demand. So let's talk about that. What have we seen in the median price for San Luis Obispo County? Let's pull up the recent ones here for the individual cities. So in San Luis Obispo in October, the median sales price was $965,000. In Atascadero, $612,000 in October. Paso Robles, $651,000, and the median sales price for Arroyo Grande was $922,000. So we have seen a bit of a reduction, but we have seen relatively, increased sales prices over the last 2 years, in some cases up to 30% in San Luis Obispo, for example. So it's understandable that we're going to see somewhat of a pullback momentarily as we see these high interest rates. And then when interest rates decrease in a year or so, then I think we're going to see an increase again in the sales prices. So temporarily for the next short amount of time, I've got some advice for home sellers and home buyers, and I think overall this is a more healthy market. I don't think we're headed into a crash, but I do think that we are experiencing a housing market shift, which is what we'd expect over the last couple of years, which was a very anomalous housing market. And if you're a buyer or a seller or investor out there, you would have experienced that. So in 2020 and 2021, the days on market were very low. Why? High demand, low interest rates. We saw reduced inventory initially, and so that really drove up the pricing here, in the entire country, California, and especially here in San Luis Obispo, in the surrounding areas. Why? Because we've got such a high demand and so many people want to live here. So let's take a look at the days on market. Now this is not a trailing indicator. This is something that we can look at to anticipate what's going to be happening for pending sales and the home prices in the next few months. So increase there on days on market indicates that the buyer demand is going down. So let's take a quick look at that and pull up the chart here. So just to give us some contrast and something to compare it to, in 2021 in October, the days on market were 8, which was very, very low. In San Luis Obispo County, historically, the days on market are between 20, 25, and 30 for the median days on market. So we really saw a reduction in the days on market, but we're seeing that the days on market is increasing. So let's take a look here. In August, the days on market was 12. In September, it was 18. And October, it's holding steady for 18. So what do I anticipate? I anticipate the days on market to be increasing over the next couple months, get back to the historical median days on market. So what that means is that you've got a little bit more time as a home buyer to be shopping around for the home that you want, and understand that as a home seller, it's important, one, to price your home accurately to today's market and not to look at the market 6 months ago when interest rates were quite a bit lower. And understanding, number 2, that it might take a little bit longer to sell your home. But I'm going to give you some examples here of a recent listing that we sold in Oceano. And there are ways that you can get your home sold at top dollar, over asking price, and within a week. So that'll be something that I'll be sharing here shortly. So let's talk about pending sales. In October of 2021, pending sales 323. Now here in October of 2022, the pending sales were 143. So we have seen quite a reduction in the pending home sales, and that's what we'd expect, because the mortgage rate has been decreasing, mortgage rate application has been decreasing, and in some cases, when I talked to my lender just a few days ago, up to 80-90% of a reduction in the mortgage applications. Why? Because the mortgage rates are quite high, between 6 and 7%, depending on the down payment and depending on your credit score. All right, so let's go ahead and move over to the percent of original price received, and this gives us an indication of what you might be expecting an accurate offer in today's market to be. In previous markets or previous months, it was about 100, 102, 103%, the median. Now, in some cases, it would go 10% over the list price, and that is typical when you have really low interest rates and the high demand, and we're seeing more normalized now. So let's take a look here. In Atascadero, 95% of original price received. In Paso Robles, 100%. In Arroyo Grande, 94%. Morro Bay, 98%. And then San Luis Obispo, 100%. So we're still seeing relatively close to the original listing price, but we have seen that decrease. So instead of 101, 102, 103% multiple offers, over asking price, we are seeing, let's say you list your home for $1 million, we might see an accepted closed price at maybe $950 or $940. So if you're a home seller, it's really important to accurately price your home as you bring it onto market. And if you do decide to hire our brokerage to do that for you, we can help you out and walk you through that. But if you're working with another brokerage, make sure that you are not overpricing and you have those days on market increasing, because after the days on market increases, less buyers are going to be interested in taking a look at your home and placing offers, because they might think something's wrong with it. So that's really important in today's market. All right, so let's go ahead and talk about mortgage activity and what we might expect the Fed to do. And they recently increased just last week the federal funds rate, and we're going to see another one in December. And so that's going to be an important factor and help us understand what the mortgage rates are going to be doing. So we know that the Fed has been doing this primarily to combat inflation and reduce some of those inflationary pressures that we saw over the last couple years. So that's going to be an important one for us, and how it's going to be affecting the housing market. If the rates continue to go up, that decreases buyer demand, as I've talked about before. I personally think that we're going to see the mortgage rate amount hold fairly steady for the next year, or at least 6 months, before we see a decrease. And I think Dave Ramsey made a great comment about this, and I would go ahead and echo that. He basically said that right now you want to buy when the interest rates are high, and I would agree, because you can always refinance. Right now, the buyers out there. If you are a buyer, there are less buyers out there, and so you can buy now and then refinance later. But I would also consider that as the activity slows down and there are fewer buyers out there, make sure that you do some negotiation and that you are a little bit more proactive as far as the price point you're willing to pay. Make sure that you don't overextend yourself. And then when you purchase the home that you want, just refinance when the mortgage rates go down, as I'm sure they will in the next year or two. But that's what I anticipate. I anticipate the mortgage rates to hold fairly steady. I don't think that there's going to be a huge price reduction due to the fact that so many people refinance at the lower interest rates, and the people who do need to sell, they're going to be bringing more inventory to the market, but there relatively is low inventory. But that's what I am anticipating for the next year. So we recently listed a home in Oceano, remodeled, 3-bedroom, 2-bath, around 1,200 square feet. We listed it at $699, and we got an offer within a week over asking price. And I think it's really important for us to understand, and for home sellers to understand, that you can get a great price for your home. And it's actually a better time to sell your home if you're going to go buy a replacement home than it was in the last year or so. And I had that personal experience with quite a few clients of mine. And what happened is they sold their home, got it pending right away, but we had such a difficult time finding a replacement property for them because it was so competitive out there, and very few sellers were accepting contingent purchases. So I think it's actually a better time right now to be a contingent seller if you're selling and either moving out of the state or moving to a different area here in the county or different area here in our state, California. And what you need to understand is a couple things. First of all, for the listing that we just recently had, we made sure that we really presented it well. It was remodeled, but if you live in your home, make sure that you follow the process that we always recommend here. Declutter, deep clean, organize. If you have to do some fresh painting, that goes a long way. And then make sure that you have your home presentable for home buyers to be previewing. So we did a few open houses right away when we brought this listing to the market, which brought a lot of activity and a lot of interest, and we got an offer right away. So it is definitely possible to get a great home sale price for your home. But you just want to make sure that you are presenting what you are selling to the market in a very good way, in a very attractive way for home buyers out there. So what's my advice for home buyers, sellers, investors as we wrap up 2022 and move into 2023? Well, like I mentioned with the listing that we had just recently, it's really important if you are a home seller and selling your property here in San Luis Obispo that you think accurately as far as the pricing. The market has shifted since a few months ago, and you cannot expect to sell your home for the same price that your neighbor sold back in April, May, or June. So make sure that you are pricing accordingly based on the most recent comps. And like I said, if you choose to hire our brokerage, we can help you out with that. Pricing is really important. In previous markets, previous years, not as important because you're going to have so much demand and you can pretty much ask within reason what you want. But in today's market, you want to make sure that you're not overpricing and that your home sits on the market for longer than it needs to. That's really key in today's market. So for buyers out there, what I recommend is make sure that you are purchasing a home within the budget that you feel comfortable with, and understand that you're going to be able to refinance in a few years. Just echoing what Dave Ramsey said, this is still a great time to buy a home here on the Central Coast because we're going to see the increased appreciation overall for coastal communities, which is what we are in the years to come. And think long term. If you're looking to be an investor and flip, this might be a tricky time because with increased interest rates decreases buyer demand, and we're not seeing the appreciation that we saw before. So just keep in mind, as a home buyer, you're going to have less competition out there, which is a good thing. So you're going to be able to negotiate a bit more. So be willing to negotiate, and that's something, like I said, my brokerage can help out with and help you understand what the home purchase and what kind of negotiations you can make. So that's my advice. Just going back to what we say all the time, process, process, process. Make sure you have the right process and the rest will follow. So, hope you found this interesting and educational, and hope it gave you some great value. If you do want to reach out and have some questions, our contact information is below. And if you want more detailed information regarding the possible home purchase for yourself here on the Central Coast or a property sale, we'd be happy to give you our perspective on that. Stay tuned for next time. If you haven't liked and subscribed, please do so you can stay informed for future videos. Until we talk again, bye now.